Patch Note Wednesday. What a Valentine's Day gift from Creative Assembly here today, guys. We got a patch that came out, a 2018 little patch here with Steps of Isha. It's a free downloadable map pack for Total War Warhammer 2, and in that we're going to be getting 4 new maps as well, and that's already live, so if you guys want to go ahead and download that, you can. But in this video today, I wanted to just kind of go over real quick some of those patch notes. I'll actually be putting these in the comment section below because I've organized them, as you'll see in this video, according to which faction that the patch balance notes actually apply to. But and I apologize for the jankety format, but this is just kind of one of the easiest ones I can think of because I'll be able to scroll up and down through everything. So let's just kind of dive deep into this, right? And what we'll do is we'll go over these patch notes and then we'll go over the 4 new maps. 3 of them are just kind of custom battle maps. So we'll take a real quick look at those on the actual play field. And then I believe I'll be jumping into a free-for-all with some other friends and having some fun to show off the last map, which is a free-for-all map and you can't just kind of easily do by showing it off in a quick video here. But let's kind of jump through here. So the general kind of patch notes here are the general upkeeping things that you would typically get about campaign related things, or stuff like the Kefra Guard Regiment of Renown will no longer be recruitable multiple times, stuff like that. You get a lot of nice things here. Increase the limit of canopic jars. One of the biggest things from this patch, huge, added more voiceover to the Tomb King skeletons during battle. Clackety Doot. That's a skeleton for Clackety Doot. There's a bunch of other stuff that they did add here, and a lot of bug fixes, stuff like that. One of the nice things is, let me see if I can find it here on this just by the cursory glance, but basically what they've done is this patch, oh, here it is. Prevented Chaos Invasion appearing and killing the rogue armies with Books of Nagash and aborting the player's mission to attain them. That was kind of a pain in the ass because that would end it prematurely. You wouldn't be able to get that book. So that was kind of a huge pain. But there's a lot of general upkeeping patches and balances and bug things for the actual campaign. But let's go into the best part of this. Oh, fixed a weird bug where Kalita's staff would appear on random impacts during battles. I mean, how does that even happen? Baffling. Ugh, I love British people. But let's see here. Oh, for those of you wondering, the victory message at the end of the campaign is now displayed correctly. That's huge. But you also get some battle map updates, right? This update is focused primarily towards multiplayer and the balance changes to multiplayer, even adding map packs for the multiplayer. So that is kind of the focus here, and we're going to go into that a little bit here. But we do get these maps added now into the quick battle rotation. So we'll be seeing Vulture Ridge, Plateau of the Dead, Plains of the Dead, Spice Dunes, some of the stuff that has come in with Tomb Kings. And that's really exciting because there's a lot of amazing maps that came out with Tomb King. So I'm excited to see those kind of played out. But they've also replaced some of the battle environments for some legacy maps here. But the biggest thing is the balance changes. And these balance changes are huge. They're really going to put both Bretonnia and Empire back into the mix here a little bit as far as competitive factions. There was a point where they were really just, well, right before this patch, they were really just kind of bottom tier power level. As you can see here, Empire Spearmen are a lot cheaper here. Your Halberdiers are going to be even stronger, and they were already a pretty strong unit. But your nice thing here is your Tattersouls are going to have more AP damage, and that's pretty huge. In Total War Warhammer 1, the Tattersouls and the Tattersouls and Flagellants, they were very competitive against a lot of just standard infantry. But with Total War Warhammer 2, almost every single run-of-the-mill base infantry unit has a very high armor value. It might not say armored and shielded, but it still is going to be pretty up there. Like, I mean, Black Ark Corsairs have a huge, I think it's an 80 armor rating, so they have a very high rating. And Flagellants and Tattersouls, which would normally be kind of a beat squad against the typical line infantry, was struggling. So this kind of AP damage helps them kind of break through the Total War Warhammer 2 stock line that has a lot more melee defense in them. Kind of playing into that, Pistoliers will get more AP damage as well, and both the we said this, but Empire Spearmen and the Knights of the Blazing Sun will have a multiplayer cost reduction as well. With your Greatswords having a +1 bonus versus infantry, Greatswords were at a point where they just weren't matching up to their other Greatsword kin out there. Like when you take a look at Hargoneth Executioners or Swordmasters of Hoeth, they're just clearly a more superior unit. But or just a superior unit in general, but the great sword is getting a +1 to their bonus infantry. That's going to help them really kind of level that playing field. The Wood Elves do get a little bit of a semi-nerf in that their Sisters of the Thorn have a little bit higher of a multiplayer increase. Also, Hawker's Precision is reduced to +15% AP missile damage. It was something like massive before. I think it was like 70%. But Way Watchers as a whole, +1 second reload time, reduced projectile mass, reduced accuracy. So Way Watchers, which were just destroying things left and right. Wood Elves were a really hard matchup for a lot of people. Have gotten a little bit of a balance or a little bit of a nerf here with these 2 points. Sisters of the Thorn is not really a crazy balance thing, but still. But the biggest one on this list is, here, let me just press this button, and this one again, is Bretonnia. Lance Formation has removed negative stat modifiers. Finally, it is an actual good Lance Formation. It hasn't even been a good Lance Formation since the 4th edition of Tabletop. Creative Assembly fixed something that Games Workshop couldn't even do. So that's huge. Huge. So you're no longer going to get that reduction to move, reduction to, I think it's missile defense. You get all these bonuses from the Lance Formation without any negative stat modifiers. So that's gigantic. On top of that, the Foot Squires are going to kind of step back up in the power scale here as well and have a lot stronger bonus versus infantry. Just we were talking about the Greatswords having they're outmatched by their Greatsword kin in the Total War Warhammer 2 variants. They're finally going to be able to kind of come to their own. And a nice thing too with Battle Pilgrims is they're getting a nice little buff to their melee defense. Battle Pilgrims kind of fit into the same slot as Flagellants, as just kind of this, again, frenzied beat squad unit you'd use against any kind of rank and file infantry. Now the Battle Pilgrims will be able to stay in for a little bit longer. Your Grail Relic is going to have a reduction in cost as well. Don't mind that Graveguard portion. I'm just going to delete that. But your Questing Knights, your Knights of the Realm, your Grail Guardians, your Pegasus Knights, your Royal Pegasus Knights, all are getting buffs. For the most part, it's melee defense. Knights of the Realm, Pegasus Knights, and Royal Pegasus Knights are all getting +2 melee defense. Grail Guardians can now use Lance Formation, which now has no negative stat modifiers. Can't say that enough. But Questing Knights will get even more AP damage, and they can use Lance Formation as well. So the Questing Knights, which were already a pretty great pick, you either went with Questing Knights or Grail Guardians, I felt like. Now that it just makes them a little bit more solidified in their one role. Also, you have Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms are going to be way stronger against any kind of large unit, like a lot of the Tomb Kings have introduced their constructs and a lot of their large units. So Bretonnia can now kind of get into a point where it's at a much better point in the power scale. This will kind of play out in the next week or two here as we kind of see where they really fit into a tier system, but we'll see how that plays out. Greenskins, little increase to their AP missile damage for their RR boys on both the Savage and the standard Orc variants, and the big ones, just big uns, actually just got a small charge bonus. Not much for the Greenskins here. Beastmen got a little bit of a nerf here in where they needed it, I think, and Centaurs is where they were just kind of running wild. -2 ammo, removed splash attacks, and Centaurs as a whole have removed splash attacks as well. And Bestigor herds have a -1 melee attack, while Khazrak has +2 melee defense. So who cares about the Khazrak thing? But the Bestigors and the Centaurs did get a little bit of a nerf in a really good light, I think, because I think that Beastmen are just like, oh, okay, great, you want to win, take Beastmen. It used to be like in Total War Warhammer 1 when vampires were pretty much the top of the tier next to like Empire. It was like, oh, guys, I want to get a real quick win and I'll play vampires. So Beastmen, I think, have that role right now, and this kind of helps level the playing field because I think a lot of people are going with Centaurs with great weapons, Centaurs with throwing axes, or just Centaurs, period. So this kind of removes that from the mix. Then we have a little bit of Dark Elves here. Got the Cold One Dread Knight. It seems like all of the cavalry is getting a little boost to their melee defense. We just took a look at Bretonnia, and a lot of them got the +2 MD that you see here with the Cold One Dread Knights. Well, that seems to be kind of echoed across the entire game. The Dark Shards, though, did get a little bit of a nerf here with a +25 to their multiplayer cost on the shield variant only. So that kind of helps. I think there was a point where you would look at the two and go, why won't I take the shields? But at least this way it kind of makes it, you have to weigh one way or the other a little bit more heavily. And also you get, for some reason, this was duplicated in the patch. Oh no, it's not, this is Prowess and Mastery. But Mer's Prowess has got a +30% Vigor changed to 18%. So it's a little bit of a nerf in both the Prowess and the Mastery portions of it. So rather than you going from, oh hey, here's my pretty winded army to a pretty fresh army, you're going from a pretty winded army to a not so winded army, it looks like. So almost like a whole 50% reduction on that. Then for our Skaven, kind of an interesting little mix here. So our Warlord Bonebreaker, which is probably the least used portion of the Skaven roster, like I probably see this the least. It's got an MP reduction of 50, which is pretty nice here. The Hell Pit Abomination did get a -3 bonus versus large, which is pretty interesting, but also a +4 bonus to its melee attack. And also the Plague Priest on the Plague Furnace does have a -2 melee defense, which is fair. I feel like those Plague Furnaces would just stay in the fight forever, just roving in and out of my units. Good goddamn them. But Queek as well, we see getting a small reduction to his cost and a increase to his bonus versus infantry, with Liber Bonicus getting a -5 second duration on its recycle. I thought Liber Bonicus was in a good spot. I don't think that was needed, because Liber Bubonicus is a pretty, hog wild ability as it is. So we'll see how that kind of pans out. Another nice little thing here for the High Elves, of course I'm going to highlight something from the High Elves. Dragon Breaths as a whole will have a +7% projectile damage and projectile AP increase, but slightly improved accuracy of Star Dragon Breath. We know that each subsequent dragon has a different breath attack and its scope and its range and its accuracy. At least the Star Dragon now gets a little bit increased to that accuracy. The Lore Masters of Hoeth get a nice -50 MP cost as well, with the Silver Helms getting a +6 charge bonus, not the 2 melee defense we've been seeing. Lizardmen got a lot of little tidbits here as well. The Skink Chief on foot and Pterodon both got a +50 MP cost, which is, again, I think fair, because playing with Lizardmen, you almost always want to have an additional Skink Chief or an additional Skink Priest to give you not just the abilities of the Skink Priest, but also to give you the additional charge of Cold Blood. So this is a nice way to kind of help round that out, so that you have to sacrifice more units to get one of these to get multiple Skink Chiefs or Skink Priests into the army. So I'm okay with that. Revivification Crystal. It's crazy. I can say Revivification Crystal like mad, but I can't say the Liber Bubonicus to save my life. But either way, it's +25 to the MP cost on that. Feral Cold Ones got a little bit of a charge bonus, as well as Feral Bastillodons, who got a +4 to their melee defense. I think that's pretty cool, because I'd never really... I feel like taking Bastillodons or Stegodons in a Feral variant is way more common than taking Feral Cold Ones. In fact, I think I maybe have taken them once or twice since the game's come out. Chameleon Skinks have gotten a -2 to their melee defense, which I think is absolutely fair. Everyone's taking Chameleon Skinks. They're like pretty much big on the meta right now, and on top of it, they're pretty scrappy. I mean, if you put Chameleon Skinks against, say, any other Archer variant, they can fight pretty damn well. So it's nice to see that they're getting a little bit of a knockdown their melee defense, because it helps put them out of commission a little bit quicker, because I feel like the biggest thing with it is they are fast, they are scrappy, and they're already poisoning. So they need a way to kind of help level that playing field. Horned Ones, they get a +1 charge bonus, but I don't think I've ever actually seen or used them in the game once. Let's change that, right? Chaos as a whole, all the warriors gets +3 morale, and they get a +2 charge bonus. A little bit of a bonus, but bonus nonetheless. Vampire counts as well, +2 charge bonus. And then our last two big ones here are Tomb Kings and Dwarfs. So the Tomb Kings, Cetra's Chariot of the Gods gets a -100 MP cost, which is great, because Cetra is such a high MP cost lord in multiplayer. He's like 3,700 after all said and done. So I'm glad they kind of curved back Chariot of the Gods, because it makes taking it a little bit more inviting. He's a great guy to want to have on the great guy you want to have. Go take him out to a beer. No, but he's a great lord you'd want to have in the army, because he does have the benefit of having the lore of Nehet Kara, so you don't have to take Kotep, and you get him as a very fighty, very strong lord. So this kind of helps hopefully allow Tomb Kings to choose Cetra over the default Arkan, or sometimes Khalida, depending on the matchup. But Screaming Cold Catapult has gotten a -50 MP cost, but it's still kind of a pretty jankety artillery. Hopefully this will help people kind of spam them, I guess. I'm not really sure. But Ushabti got a -1 to ammo. That was a very much needed nerf, because Ushabti can... and this was actually I was talking about during our Discord. And Chosen of the Gods are the Ushabti Great Bow variant Regiment of Renown. Also got a -1. They can pretty much fire the entire game and then some. If you remember that video we did with the Lore Master of Sotek versus Turin, Turin pretty much kited Sotek around using his Ushabti Great Bow, who had plenty of ammo, and it was well after the end of the fight. So this is a very good nerf in a direction that's not too crippling. You know, it's one thing to just say, okay, hey, a glaring problem with the great bows is their ammo. Cool, just reduce that. Rather than saying, okay, their ammo's reduced, their melee effectiveness is reduced, and then they can't shoot as well and they're not as accurate. Okay, well, great. Now why am I going to take them outright? So at least this way it keeps them relevant and keeps them pertinent. Cambrian War Sphinx and the mounted versions got a -8 charge bonus and a -200 health, which is pretty huge too, because those things, that Doom Pussy would just roll up and down lines, and it was so hard to take down if you didn't just completely focus on it 100%. So this, I think, makes the initial threat of it not as large, and it can be a little bit more, it can be taken down a little bit easier with that that -200 of health. So I'm okay with that. Dwarfs, though, they get Rune of Wrath and Ruin is increased target range to 150, and it has its uses increased, I believe, from it was either 2 or 3 to now 4. Oh no, I'm sorry, it now has max uses. It did not used to have that, I believe. So the nice thing about that is it's probably one of the shortest range of the runes that I recall. So it does have a little bit of an increase too, but then at the same time, boom, it's going to have a little cap on it. Same thing with the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin, increase that range, but reduction to a max of 3 uses. So I can see why I did that. Old Grumblers as well got a 18% vigor change to 9%, so a little bit of a nerf on them. And honestly, Old Grumblers are so strong and so powerful that maybe a little bit of a curbing on them was needed. As far as other ability changes and just kind of magic in general, Regrowth and its upgraded variant now has a +1 mana cost. I think that's completely fair from 6. I think it was 6 to now 7 and 9. I believe is the overcast is 9. And that's pretty good, because I mean, Regrowth was something that was kind of kicking off all the way into the way late game because it had such a low mana cost. Fate of Buna did get a +2 mana cost, which is great because that's like one of the strongest abilities in that school of magic. It just is so strong to just knock out a top tier cavalry unit, just anything of the sort. So I think you need to really pay more for it, for what you get out of it. It needed that kind of touch. Savage Dominion obviously getting a little bit of a increase in mana cost as well, because you were having these Beastmen armies that would roll 2 or 3 Cygors deep by using Savage Dominion, so that's kind of nice as well. Fiery Convocation, a little bit of a reduction on the just standard variant, and as well on the -3 to the mana cost. What I'd like to see is a reduction in the animation time of the animation. I don't care about how much mana it takes me, it just takes me forever to cast the damn spell. But I still love the spell because I love high elves and high magic, but still, that's my 2 cents on Fiery Convocation. So let's now dive into the maps real quick. We'll take a look at those 3, and in a separate video, we'll be doing a quick battle, or I'm sorry, a free-for-all to show you guys the 4th map, the free-for-all map. But let's jump into the Pit of Thorns. A beautiful, scenic map. All sorts of ruins going on here, all sorts of crazy shit. As you can see, look at this. Look how smoldering that is. We're just going to press start the battle to get that out of our way here. This is going to be a repeating motif, you know, since this is the Steps of Isha. Isha being the goddess that is primarily involved with Averlorn and Alarielle. So, who's to say, guys, this doesn't mean that this is the segue into Alarielle and the Sisters of Averlorn, that we as maybe a future DLC or Lord pack. We have some lovely ruined high elf things here in the background, some high elf towers, some high elf architecture as a whole. This in and of itself looks like it's probably in Averlorn, especially the next 2 maps we take a look at. This looks like it might be on, oh, saw that hit. Might be towards like the coastal portions of it, because Averlorn kind of sits right behind the mountain, that range that Kothic is next to. So we've got that going for us. But as you can see here, let's take a look at this map, and I'll actually increase the size on this so you can see it up here in the corner here. But a lot of hills, a lot of like little ravines, and a lot of places to ambush from, a lot of forests that you can get up inside of and be hidden. Artillery is going to be a pain on all 3 of these maps, just as a heads up. So expect that. Trust me. Each one of these maps is going to make it so that you have to really get up close and personal. These are melee maps. These are meant to just get up in your grill. But this is our very first map here. So let's jump on over to our next one. The Broken Hills. So, I mean, we obviously just did Pit of Thorns. Now we're back on the Broken Hills. And as you can see, this is the symbol of Isha. This little heart motif kind of repeats itself, as well as this little moon as well. And this very lovely, very classy bikini. Find it at Victoria's Secret. But you have another map riddled with forests, ravines, outcroppings, everything. Like, oh, you're gonna sit your ass right there. Go fuck that guy up. So, more high elf architecture here. A nice little keep here. Just kind of cool. I wish you could get up inside that. That'd be sick. I take up residence, yeah. But you've got that going on. But as you notice on the map, it's basically two masses of land with a little bit of a choke here in the center. That's going to be a bit of a rush too. But at the same time, you might finally be able to see Eagle Cloud bolt throwers kind of working here pretty well on this map, or just portions that there's not a lot of direct line of sight. And the center of the map, it comes down into a bit of a valley here. So if you've got archers up in these trees, up in these side portions of it, you're going to be shooting into disenfranchised melee units up here, or up to this portion where it's more raised because the map does slope down this way and then pick back up over here. So it's an interesting map indeed, because it's covered in trees once again, with ways to break into both portions of this choke point through trees. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes. Dude, come on, don't lose, Tyrion. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes when it kicks into the multiplayer, because they have said that these maps are for both custom battles and multiplayer battles. So we've got them for plenty of ammunition for fun times to be had. Oh, look at this little portcullis gate. There's plenty of places to hide, plenty of things to do, and again, we're going to see that even in our last map here, the Heartlands, that we're about to just jump into right now. So this map, though, is even more dippy, valley, craggy. Not craggy. That's got to do with mountains. But there's even more trees. There's even more ravines. Like, look at this. You could just go from this point to this point to this point. Like, both maps, or both armies start at this portion up here and this portion down here. So you've got so many ways to ambush each other, so many ways to get up close and personal. No artillery is going to work on this map at all. Like, look at this. If you start back here or up here, your artillery's got to climb to the top of this ridge line and hope that their artillery, or there's something that's going to be sneaking up on you. So pretty much the center area is going to be the big battle royale here that Tyrion and Malekith are kind of just having at. I'm actually pretty excited to see these. What are you guys doing? I want blood. I want death. The people demand fights. Oh wow. Oh, I see. But I'm excited to kind of see these maps play out, and really I'm excited to play the free-for-all one here pretty soon. But you've got more repeating motifs here of Averlorn, of the symbols of Isha over there in the corner. Hopefully, like I was saying, this is indicative of a future release of Alarielle and a future release of the Sisters of Averlorn. We do need those units, or the Sisters of Averlorn especially. If their health is going down, I'm gonna shit my bed. I'm frightened by enemy unit. It's your cousin, guy. But oh, I'm just sitting here and oh look, I didn't know this was all like muddy. Malekith's just screaming at us. But we do know that the Sisters of Averlorn are probably a magic shooting AP missile unit that also has a spear. So basically kind of think of almost like a souped up Lothern Sea Guard. And that's going to be really, really huge for the High Elves, because they need a unit like that. They need some sort of AP missile damage coming out of their army, I think, in my opinion. Oh, in my opinion at least. But an Alarielle would be kind of a life magic caster, maybe even a life or high magic hybrid, because she can use quite a few lores in the tabletop, which is kind of basically more of a support caster rather than Teclis, who's a little more aggressive, or Tyrion, who's a little more aggressive. So those would be kind of like the way I'd fit those two into this game. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video here today. Just wanted to go over our new maps. Jesus, come on, dude. It's the same attack. Tyrion, you're supposed to be this great fighter. You fell victim to the same exact series of attacks twice. You know what, man? Faint, riposte. Yes. So, yeah, I just wanted to showcase those maps to you guys. Wanted to talk about those balance changes. If there's anything else you noticed that I maybe missed on, or anything that you saw from those that was even more important than I made it out to be, please go ahead and comment. Always call me on my bullshit. I'm fine with that. But thanks for watching here today, guys. Don't forget, like, comment, send news, all that kind of stuff that people do on the internet thing. But thanks for watching. Have a good one, and take care.